Hi, hello, this is Jules the Human here, and welcome to the Jules and Matt Anime Hour. I'm one of your hosts, Jules the Human, and every week we go out into the world and watch a little bit of anime, and we come back here and talk about it. Today is the second time we're talking about Delicious in Dungeon. We're going to be talking about episode 5 through 8 of the anime Delicious in Dungeon. So hopefully you watched it, read it, you watched. Is there a manga? Is this based off a manga?
I'm pretty sure it is a manga.
Matt's going to look that up. But today we're going to be talking about episode 5 through 8 of Delicious in Dungeon. If this is the first time you're watching the show, we pick random anime out of the chest. And some of these are suggested by me and Matt, but most of these are from you viewers. So the way to get an anime that you want us to watch all together is to give a $5 super chat here on YouTube or 500 bits on Twitch. So $5 super chat on YouTube or 500 bits on Twitch. Give us an anime name and we'll add it to the list to possibly picked out in the future. We already ranked these in season 3. We have 2 anime in season 3 so far of the show. And we're going to add Delicious in Dungeon here very soon. But I don't go on these anime journeys alone. I go with my co-host, Matt Galley. Matt, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing pretty good. I've been just getting ready for St. Patrick's Day, big day at IRL work for me. But,
oh boy.
Yeah. But other than that, I'm excited to talk about some more Delicious in Dungeon. I'm excited to go down a few more levels, see a few more things, talk about some new characters.
They went down one level or so.
Like one
How
and a half
big
levels
is this dungeon?
It's a big dungeon.
They've been the whole show is from episode 5 through 8. They're walking. It seems like they're going through rooms, finding a shortcut, and we're still only down one level. I'm like,
so this is kind of for that reason is one of the biggest reasons that I grew to love the show over time. The more that I watched it is again, like I talked about it, touched lightly on it, like comparing it to like Dungeons and Dragons and how it handles some of its like elements and such.
Yeah.
And something that this show really emphasizes is the wariness of travel, like how travel is something that is like, you don't just blink to the next destination. You have to get there. So in Dungeons and Dragons, like there's this whole concept of how you handle, like, quote unquote, how to handle travel. And it's like you can run travel as a sentence. Like you could run a whole travel sequence just if it's not important, one sentence and you're there. You could run travel as like a single encounter where you travel across distances and it's like one encounter that takes you there for the sake of like game mechanically speaking.
Yeah.
You could run travel as like a whole like narrative arc, or you could run travel as the entire campaign and have the entire campaign be focused around the concepts of traveling. And that to me kind of is what this show very much embodies, is how do we make a show, or like in this case an anime, where like travel is kind of the whole thing, but we still keep it interesting. What do you always need to do when you're traveling? You always need to eat. How do we make eating interesting? We're gonna eat monsters.
Yeah. And it's pretty fun. And I got to say, I do enjoy it the more I'm watching it. It may have come across in the first episode that I was not enjoying it. I am definitely enjoying it now. It is pretty good. So let's get into it. Episode 5 of Delicious Dungeon, Snacks/Sorbet. What happens in episode 5?
We follow another introduced party as they befall an unfortunate event as they begin to travel through the dungeon. Treasure bugs, which knock them unconscious, leaving them to be found by our original group. After leaving the unconscious group set aside, Senshi is able to cook up the bugs into a bunch of tasty snacks that the team munches on. Leo starts to believe that his sword is looking out for him as a member of the team. Ghosts begin to attack, and everybody makes a break for it as they remember times when Fallon's magic would easily be able to take care of problems like this. Senshi whips up some over-the-counter holy water and uses it to fight back against the ghosts until it turns into a sorbet. And the team eats the sorbet as Laios misses Fallon and her de-escalation a little bit more.
So we get the intro where we meet Kabru and or a new group, like you said, but the main people that we get named are Kabru and Rin, and they bring up something really interesting, which I don't normally think about, and I'm pretty sure if you are a D&D player, you would appreciate this more. Or this show just continues to give me things that I've never thought about that I am thinking about now because they were talking about how they're going to go down to the dungeon, whatever, whatever. But then they have to take weeks worth of food, and they're like complaining that, oh my god, this is heavy. Having
Hmm.
weeks worth of food is heavy. I never thought about that, about them going down, and like that seems like such an easy thing, but like these people are doing it, and they're thinking about their way to do it. And they mentioned that the weeks worth of food would be heavy to go down. I'm like, oh yeah, that's kind of a thing, huh? You do have to have food, but
Yeah.
carrying it down is crazy.
Because it seems as though, in environment in the world that this show has been building, it seems that magic users are kind of like more of a niche. And
Yeah.
when you're realistically trying to build a party to adventure with in a world like this, you can't just rely on there being, like a druid in D&D references who can just literally has the ability to create food via their magic, or like, certain high level clerics, etc.
Yeah.
So it really makes the idea of like, continues to drive home that like nutrition is something that can't really
Nutrition
be
too.
faked. Like you really need to be paying attention to your nutrition, to how you're going to be getting the ability to continue to traverse deeper into the dungeon, because as the tasks grow larger, how are you going to be up to the task when you don't have enough energy?
It's all good. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy that they keep bringing these little ideas to me, and I'm like, oh yeah, they're doing it. Of course they're gonna think, or I'll mention more things later because I'm sure there is, and I did mention in the first episode about other things like that. But there's, they find gold and jewels from the zombies, but then the clan gets wiped out almost immediately. My jaw was on the floor because I'm like, that's it. Is that all we did? Like, what happened here? Did they die? This is insane that they would put him in the intro and then have them die. It was really funny. Laios's sword sensed danger. I am digging this secret. I
Yeah,
love how
he's just keeping it
chaotic
to himself.
I love how chaotic Laios is in everything now. His little secret to himself. He's a little guy, and he talks to it sometimes, but it senses danger with the treasure insects. And
He is a secret keeper, because I mean it's very apparent from episode 1, from the word go, when he pulls out that monster eating manual or whatever, they're like, "Oh, whoa, what's up with this?"
what are you
Like,
doing,
we didn't
guy?
know anything about this. So the fact that he just continues to keep these weird morbid secrets, hey, my sword's actually a living thing, like, to himself, is just hilarious, because what other skeletons does this guy have in his closet, man?
I
Maybe I
mean,
don't want to know, actually.
no, because he had the idea already to eat monsters. He's been dreaming about this before this crew came together. I don't
Mhm.
know why it's manifesting now. It seemed like they were a crew for a long time, and now they're just like, wait,
That's the
like
jarring.
that's like me and you, and then you just being like, I just kind of want to eat a dog one time, and it's like, whoa, hold on, wait, what? What's going on?
What did he say?
What did he say? It's kind of insane. But the gold and jewels are bugs. We have treasure insects. Senji's gonna eat the bugs. One thing I don't know. Hello, Cosmo. Hello, everybody. That's us. Yes, we are here. Zaddy Galley and Poppy Jules. That is us. We are talking about
Right.
Delicious and Dungeon. Um,
D&D.
One thing that I'm not completely sold about, which is fine, I'm sure it's there for everybody, like how in depth they get into like the making of the food. I'm just like, okay, that's cool. Like I appreciate it in other anime a little bit more when it's actual like real food, something that, and they go
Yeah,
super intense
exactly,
into it,
exactly.
like how it's made, how it's cut, how it's done, all this stuff, because it's like, oh,
Or
This is
even in
kind of telling
Bartender
me.
when they were actually like giving the actual techniques and such about like real world cocktails.
Glass of God, where it's like, here's the cocktail, mix with this, mix with it. I appreciated that a little bit more because I'm like, oh, like if I wanted to make that drink, I can just write it down. Thanks for the info. But these are like
Exactly. Or
monster,
take it to Google.
yeah, these are like monster recipes. And I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna find little bugs I want to eat that look very pretty, but that's okay. So I'm not enjoying that part as much. I'm being really nitpicky, but something I want to bring up as well in case other people are not feeling that part because they spent a lot of time making this stuff. But Lyle says that his sword thinks they're a team, or at least in Lyle's head, he wants to be a team with his sword. Kensuke is the name that he named the sword. So I'm
That's
glad.
right. We
I'm
get
super
conclusion.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see Lyles and Kinsuke join forces, and maybe they will find out, maybe they will not. It's gonna be a fun time.
This fucking
There's
guy.
ghosts. Ghosts grabbed Lyos.
Which
The-
also when they set aside the other party, Marcel put some sort of spell on them so that way she specifically says that way they don't turn back into zombies.
yeah, but her magic powers were not as good as Fallon. So I'm fine. I'm glad we're finally getting into
Some
the Fallon of it
characteristics of
all.
Fallon, yes, because they specifically should like they're like, hey, you're doing explosions. Surely you can do what Fallon does. It's not that hard. And she's like, what do you mean? Fallon was doing some like high level magic. Like she was a
Yeah.
really good spellcaster that like probably that like which immediately allows me to buy into the fact that she was able to send the entire party out of the dungeon safe
Yeah.
and sound, save
Mhm.
herself.
Cosmo says, I missed your faces. I missed your face. Give it. Um, Fallon is a really good magic user. I'm glad we're finally getting to it because that's the crux of the show.
Yeah.
I want to find Fallon, and we
It's
just
like I want to find
lollygagging.
Fallon, and of course we want to be like we want to like Fallon, but I do like walking backwards. I do like that the show makes us care about these characters that we're
Yeah.
introduced to first,
Mhm.
and then we get to care about Fallon through them as they reminisce about her.
Like, I'm even fine if, well, I don't know if I am. If they do something like this, let's say in season 2, because I don't know, whatever. Season 2, let's say, or by the end of season 1, we find Fallon, bring Fallon back to life, whatever. We're a
Apparently,
big
we're right around the corner from the dragon where we left off.
we're pretty
You know,
close apparently, but season 2 starts off and then something like this happens again and they have to traverse through the dungeon to get back to where they were. I'm almost fine with that if they did that again. That sort of same idea, because of all the fun we're having just going through the dungeon, and
yep.
it really is just the Fallons we made along the way.
It
um
really, the show really is the definition of like, wide as a pond, but deep as an ocean. As we descend into the dungeon itself and get deeper, the show continues to
hmm.
like feel like it's giving itself more depth in terms of like how dynamic the characters are. Because, in this episode, we truly get to see some more feelings come out about how Laios feels about the guilt of having lost his sister to the dragon when he was right there and he couldn't do anything about it.
Finally we get some like, not, I mean, I love Lyles being a silly
A
little
silly
guy
guy.
wanting to eat
He's a silly
everybody,
guy.
but like that's his sister, bro. Like you got to put on that sensitivity a little bit sometimes, and I'm glad they did it here. We did get a lot of Fallon, as well as the holy water turned into exorcist sorbet, the ice cream and stuff. But the real meat of it was all the Fallon we got in this episode, and Lyles continuing to be weird toward the end, which is fine, because he says ultimately, I'm happy Fallon got eaten, or we wouldn't be
Because we
eating
wouldn't be
sorbet.
here.
We wouldn't be eating the sorbet. Oh my god, I'm so happy my sister
I'm
got
so
eaten.
profound.
Oh,
We're so lucky.
it's so great.
And then Senshi with the some things you really should just keep to yourself.
It's
And it's
really
like,
good.
yep.
I love this little crew. I'm down for them just doing little things like this. I'm so about it. So that was episode 5. Let's get into episode 6, court cuisine boiled in salt water. What happens in episode 6?
Laios attempts diving into living paintings in order to get a meal out of them. He forces the team to send him into painting after painting, trying to find a casual setting that he's comfortable eating in, then getting accosted by an elf that burns his collar. The party sets up for the night, and while going out for water, Chilchuck accidentally locks himself into a room with what he believes to be a mimic. While looking for an exit, he accidentally sets off an actual mimic that chases him down, finding the exit mechanism with the mimic re-triggering the locked door, killing itself, leaving Laios and Senshi elated. After boiling the mimic, Chilchuck is shaken down for his picky thingies in order to eat the crustacean critter, and everyone pokes fun at Chilchuck for being in his late 20s. Relatable.
Bro, I think this was like my favorite episode so far. It's so funny. I want Lyles to just continue. I just wanted more. I wanted him to continue to jump into every painting just because I don't know why, it's so funny. And this is another thing, like I said, about the um not thinking about wearing the food that you're gonna have to eat for the week, like jumping into the painting and then taking it the step further of like, well, they have food in the painting. Can I eat the food there? And I'm
And
like, that's
he says it to them like it should just already be a thought in their head. Like they're holding food. If I go in there and I fight them for the food, I can eat the food.
it's such like a next level brain stem. Like, okay, let's make a little part of the episode where they're gonna jump into the paintings for some reason, and then we get this other cool story of Prince Del Gall. And it's like, okay, that's cool. That's a great little thing. But also one step further, he's gonna try and eat the food there. That's his goal. That's why he's doing it. I'm like, it's so good. Really cool storytelling.
And then why does he jump into more than one? Because he needs to find a more casual setting that doesn't
Bro,
disrupt his appetite.
vibes were off. Vibes were off
That's
here.
it's literally his words. He's like, the vibes were off. How can you expect me to eat if the vibes are off?
It's so crazy. So they've been doing all this walking, and this is where I notated that they're not even on the fourth floor yet. They're not even there, bro. I'm just like, it really right there put into perspective how big this dungeon is, because I thought we were like towards the bottom or towards the farthest they've gotten. And
Not even
here,
close,
I mean, what, we're on
apparently.
episode 6 of them walking, and that we've seen them in so many different locations, rooms, traps, the big spiral. Are you saying that's not okay, man? What, the big spiral is part of floor 3? Floor 3?
That's just one of the spirals of floor 3.
Oh, that's the fastest one. Yeah. If you want to take the long route, there's a bigger spiral over there. It's crazy. Living Picture almost sucked Laios in, and Laios is gonna fight for food in the painting. So he gets sucked into the painting. The vibes were off, couldn't eat the food, and then we get this brilliant little. It's just a cool little story of Prince Del Gall's life in these paintings, jumping into different parts of his life,
Yeah.
big
Which is
moments.
like, and that's also like world building, which is like what are the paintings in this dining room? Oh, these paintings tell the story of the life of the king that probably once lived in this very castle.
Uh,
Like
it's
that
so good.
just like it all just continuously feeds back into itself. The show with its feedback loop where everything just like, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, like, and it just continues to give.
I'm really enjoying it. Prince Dogal grows up and
Oh,
is getting
hello.
married. Oh, where'd you go? There you are. Is getting married in the second painting, and then someone poisons the king. The painting won't let Laios take the food out. Prince Dogal gets coronated from his dying dad. And the same elf confronts Laios. I don't think we see this elf again after this, right? Well, in the episodes that we watched, like this was the end, and then he runs out or whatever.
Mhm.
This is really interesting because now I want to know, because this
Why
how does
did that person see through Laios when he like and call him out as if he had some sort of like ownership? How was that elf in the same room that that king was born in the other paintings? Because you were in the painting when this guy was born, and now you're like at his coronation. You're still around. What like Laios even says, he's like, is this the court jester?
this
Who
brings
are you?
yeah, this brings so much as well to what
Intrigue.
are the paintings?
Hmm.
Because like, is this another reality, or is this another world, or is this person, this little elf, just another player character that
In the
hopped in
painting.
as
Yeah.
well? Like,
Oh yeah,
um
yeah. Is he
it,
another adventurer?
is he another adventurer that just hopped into the paintings as well and doing the same thing sort of Laios is and just living his life
He
in the
calls
painting?
Laios an outsider specifically. Like, what are you doing here, outsider? Actually, I
So that
remember you were
also
there, and you were there as well. What are you doing here? Like,
that,
grabs him.
that
I'll
also makes
kiss
me
you.
think that there are other outsiders that have tried to do this,
Hmm.
maybe.
Maybe
But it's like, what are these paintings? Is it like an, I don't know. I'm thinking like alternate realities. I'm thinking too far.
if he recognizes the fact that he's been in the other paintings and as well, how does that one consciousness that's like accosting that's
Connect.
how is that connected? Yeah. Like, how do you
That's
know that you saw me in that other painting?
that's
What's
what's
going on?
that's what's breaking my brain,
Yeah,
because I'm like, if he saw the same characters in each painting and they were all instances of the characters, I'm like, okay, that's what a painting is, sort of, but it's just living.
exactly.
But this guy remembered, yeah, I've seen you before. Wait a minute, you were there. Wait,
You
now
were
you're
there.
here? What are you doing?
You were
You're
there
mischievous.
and there, and now you're here. What are you doing? And Laios
That
was like, "Nope, get me out of here." Pulling the rope.
that is such a cool concept. I love that. Um, the food he eats does not fill his stomach. As soon as he gets out of the painting, he is hungry
I
again.
love like how he got to eat and he got to enjoy it, but like ultimately the show's still just like, no,
No, it
you don't
tasted good
get
though.
yeah, you don't get to take it with you.
I love it. I love that it was kind of for nothing, but it was a fun little adventure. And now
It
I'm like interested in this elf
it
character.
feels very non-consequential at first, but yeah, there's some intrigue, some questions that are posed that, as always, could come into play later, could just be there to be intriguing.
Then we go on to the second half of the show, of the episode, where Chilchuck claims he hates mimics. Chilchuck gets trapped. There's a room full of traps, kind of like an escape room. I liked, again, Chilchuck sort of showing his expertise in trying to decipher what's going on in this room. How do I get out and all that? Uh, but yeah, I think it was a lot of fun. I think it was
Hmm.
cool. He was alone. A
It's a
mimic
it's
is a big
just a
old
good way to
crab.
give him more time and, especially some time alone to personalize him. I really like how he has this all-encompassing fear of mimics. He's just like, I've never had a good experience with one. I don't care. I don't care if we
Those
got a mimic trap machine set up right next to it. I don't want anything to do with that guy.
those
Like,
little
he's just
flashbacks were fun. It was really good. Yeah, I I can see, I think it's good and bad that I know D&D and I've DM'd before, because I'm like, I'm thinking about how I would set this up myself. Like that's how a story would go, where it's like, okay, the end of the day, y'all are getting ready for camp. What do you do? It's like, well, I'm gonna stay up a little bit. I saw that mimic earlier, whatever, whatever. And then he gets there and it's like, okay, well, you're trapped in the room. What do you do? And like telling, like it's cool to see in like a D&D. I don't know if it's
yeah. And see,
good or
you can
bad.
even like, see, certain like ability checks and saving throws like literally happening where it's like,
Yeah,
of course he's able to scramble and get away from the mimic. He's he's a halfling. Or a half foot, whatever they call them in this universe, but he's their dex guy. He's the lock picker.
he's the
He's going to be
guy.
good at that. He's going to be good to just run around and scramble, but he's also really good at thinking on his feet, And that plays directly into his character sheet, as like as an intelligence based class, that like that's what I mean. You can continuously start to tie more and more back to D&D mechanics, which, like you said, could be a good and a bad thing. For me, it gives things where I can have that connection with. It makes them more enjoyable to me, because then I'm kind of engaging with them on another level on top of the layer that it's already giving me.
Because if I was playing in a game like this and the people made these choices, I think like, ooh, this is fun, because he ends up flipping the mimic, and I'm like, ooh, he did this. This is kind of fun. Like, oh, I wouldn't have thought about that, or like, because the way the mimic
Interesting
is,
solutions to interesting problems.
and it continues to happen and continues to be the best outcome for all the different things that happen in this show. It's always like just off of what I would think of. So it feels very alive, and it feels like, ooh, that's not how I would resolve this, but I love this little thing that they're doing, or I love this little twist or new idea. And I'm like, okay, let's run with that. And the show does. And I'm like, it's so
Even the
good.
way it represents a mimic with like creatures that use a mimic, the chest as a shell, where the most common representation of a mimic is a chest that literally is alive, that just like
Yeah.
has teeth or whatever, maybe arms, and just pulls you in and chomps you. But this
And-
one is like a creature using a chest, which honestly makes a lot more sense.
yep. Yep. And with the explanation of the treasure bugs killing them, like
Laying
that's
the eggs in it,
so
yeah, which then
insane.
becomes the loot bugs,
A
and then it's just
loot
like, how did the
that
loot get in there? Yeah,
it's so good that this mimic, if it's a mimic, it's a creature living inside a treasure chest, but the loot bugs get inside, lay the eggs, kill the mimic uh
as
thing
the
that's living in
larvae
there,
hatch and eat it, and
and
then
then the
become
larva
the
become the
pieces.
gold, and it's like, ooh, treasure, here it is.
Ingenious.
It's so good, I really like it. And with the first 4 episodes where the living armor, we talked a lot about that last time. The living armor is actually just a bunch of little guys inside armor, making it seem like the armor's alive. I like these off takes, these off uh kilter ways of getting around, because
A
it could be
conventional way of
cool.
doing things. Yeah,
Yeah, it's okay. A treasure that's magically imbued with something. Okay, that's cool. But like, I like that they make it a little bit more grounded and a little bit more real, where magic, like you said, is a little more scarce, is there, but it's not all around us. And this feels like more like the earth, and some people have magic abilities. There's an
exactly.
explanation for a lot of
You
things.
can't will. It doesn't seem like you can just use magic, and there are people like Senshi even showcases, there are people that will go out of their ways to avoid magic at all costs, because they have strong like beliefs that it is actually anti way of interacting with the world, and that it's just kind of pushing the easy button and disconnecting yourself from everything that's going on.
Yeah, I believe that Senshi does think that, but I still think there's something else there. He seems so staunch against magic, and I feel like it's coming, that there may be something where, I don't know, I can't even imagine something. Maybe he had a
Some
magic
people.
user in his previous crew or something, and they took the easy route all the way, and then they ran out of mana and then died or something. They're like, yeah, I don't know what it could be, but I feel like Senshi is holding back a little bit on his core belief of
Uh-huh.
the easy route for magic. But you can't say anything because you've seen more of the show. That's what I'm thinking right now, because I'm cool. I'm cool with him just being like, stop it. These Gen Zers using magic all the time. You got to work with your hands with big old golem plants. Come on, but like, I think there's a little bit more. I'm willing to bet there. Um, Chilchuk had his own little adventure here. He traps the mimic. They boil the mimic, eat some good old crab, and we find out that Chilchuk is 29. A little surprising for his height, but then apparently everybody's older except Laios. Laios is like, do I have to
Yeah,
call
I
you
was
sir?
like I bet Laios is like in his mid to early 20s. You know,
Yeah.
he's probably like 23 or 24, and Chilchuck being 29. That's his reaction.
How
Elves and
old?
dwarves, elves at least in like,
Oh, true. Yeah.
canon D&D can like live up to like 250 years old or something like that, I
That's what I was
think.
gonna say. How old do you think Marcel is? Because she does look young, but she is an elf.
Old enough.
100. Hey,
Old enough
yo, what?
to party. Sorry, super bad
One
reference.
thing, old enough. One thing that I would not have guessed or thought about as well that Kaylin really picked up on like early on in the show was that Marcel changes costume a lot, changes her hair a lot. I would not have picked up on that if she
She
wasn't
does change her hair a lot, and
mentioned that.
we kind of find out why she goes on to talk about it, but we eventually find that cleanliness and magic like capability or capacity for magic kind of go hand in hand.
I don't get it, but I'm cool with that because I do remember them saying that, but I was like, okay. I mean,
Is all dirty and gross. She's like, it's
duh.
is it
Yeah,
like
it's coming up.
what is it insulating the magic?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's the whole part of like the next episode. Yeah. Um, but yeah, I don't get it. I mean, I guess whatever. I'm trying to make sense of it, but I like,
If that's the rule you want to make, all right, let's make that rule. As long as you're consistent with that rule, I'm
yeah,
okay with it.
and they are because she does have pajamas on all the time, and she changes her hair consistently. It's like really cool to see how the character it's not stagnant. In a lot of anime, they are just boop, here's my character, here's
This
my
is how
thing.
I'm drawn.
My hair does not move. It
I
is just
have 5 poses
yeah,
with the same outfit.
pretty much. But I do appreciate her changing different styles all the time and um just doing real life stuff.
Mhm.
Episode 7, Kelpie porridge boiled with sauce. What happens in episode 7?
The party that got knocked out by the treasure bugs wakes up and begins to follow the trail of Laios and company. When met with a lake the party must cross, Senshi throws a tantrum at the thought of having to use magic, calling a Kelpie he's familiar with in an attempt to cross. The Kelpie turns on Senshi, who, with the help of Laios, are forced to put it down. Senshi and Marcel are both busy while Chilchuck and Laios check in on a group of people that are floating on the lake who happen to be the group that was tailing them, looking like they are knocked out. Chilchuck allows Laios to cook with demi-human parts to his own dismay, and Marcel makes soap to wash Senshi's beard, which allows him to handle the water walking spell. A kraken shows up and is quickly dispatched by Senshi with the help of Marcel. Laios finds a parasite in the kraken and disgustingly eats a piece of it raw, getting a parasite himself.
Bro, Lyle's wild for that one.
He really like picked it up, checked to see he did mod check. He's
Bro, I'm sick of that boy. Um,
gross.
so we find
Disgusting.
out that whole other crew that we thought was dead is not dead. And I'm so happy because it's like, oh my God, we spent some time with them. I'm like, those could be cool. Those could be
Yeah.
cool little guys. We got a dog guy. Okay, sure. Find out they're alive. Squad goes to a big old lake. Marcel walks on water. She's Jesus, love her. Senshi thinks Senshi thinks magic is careless. Senshi calls his little water horse Kelpie. Laios wants to eat it. Laios
He wants to
ends up
kill it.
ends up killing Kelpie. Um, what do you think? Do you think there was any change in Senshi there when he was like, no, you can trust this Kelpie monster. We have a symbiotic relationship. We know each other. And everybody else was like, no, you can't trust monsters. It's kind of that whole scorpion riding on the back of a whatever. What's the there's like a tail where there's like a scorpion or snake that's riding on the back of a turtle or something on the river. And it's like, why? I think it's a scorpion. I don't know. They Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't
Oh
know
my
if
God.
I do.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
sorry,
there's
but
like
I'm right
a
here with you.
I don't remember what it is. There's like a if somebody knows in chat, let me know. But there's a scorpion and or snake that's like, yo, man, I need help getting across the river. And they're like, I'm gonna get on this turtle. Yeah, I think it's a turtle. It's like, hey, turtle, can you help me get across the lake? And it's like, you're a scorpion. I'm not gonna help you. It's like, come on, man, I need some help. Please. I'm cool. I'm chill about it. Turtle helps him across, and then he ends up stinging him. And then Turtle's like, why'd you do that? It's like, well, I don't know. I'm a scorpion. It's kind of my nature. I'm sorry. And it's like, what? So it's kind of that. I did it so bad. That's so bad.
Yeah.
It's kind of that where it's like, well, yeah, we did have a symbiotic relationship, but I'm a monster and you
Hmm.
can't change that. And I'm
Hmm.
sorry, as much as I want to help, I kind of do this. Kelpie does this. He
Yeah, but like
lures them into the water.
it even like symbiotic is. I feel like the relationship he has with the golems, I would call more symbiotic.
Okay, yeah.
It seems like the relationship he has with the Kelpie is like one of like like it just a I don't know if there's a proper term for it, but just like a friendship where there is no like you take anything, I take anything, we don't give each other anything. It's just like I don't disturb your presence and you don't disturb my presence. We're at peace with each other. Kind of like co-habitual. I don't
Yeah,
know if that's the right word for it.
co-habitual. I would say
Um,
that more than
but
symbiotic.
exactly, but I think there might be this underlying thing that like the monster was always maybe just trying to make him feel that way again because Lio says it wants to just lure you into the water. So the whole time it
Mm.
just wanted him to get comfortable. You could say the whole time it just wanted him to get comfortable enough to like get on its back so it could bring him down under where it would turn on him.
Yeah. So do
And
you
it
think in this they spend a lot of time on it and I
mhm,
really do appreciate it because I like that. I like that
mhm,
idea where it's like, no, you can't. This is I understand you, Shenchi. I understand your abilities and what you've done for this dungeon. And I think you would have got your ass ate on this one, man, if the other people weren't there.
yeah,
So do you think Senshi is gonna go on this little arc? Well, I can't ask you, I guess, because you've seen more episodes, but I think Senshi may go on this arc of being like, hey, I do have to be a little more apprehensive. I do got to think about these monsters as one being monsters, but them being dangerous.
yeah.
And while I can get some help from them, or maybe we do share the same space together and we're cool, not to cross them. I really like that and possibly see Senshi going down that route to be um because I think they're both Senshi and the core group of the other three are learning from each other.
Yeah,
And I
they
think
they, they
that's
can they continue to showcase that it's like, hey, I'm gonna that they're all very knowledgeable in their own ways, and
it's
they
so
have
cool.
wisdom to share in different ways about different things.
And I think what Senshi might end up learning from them is to be a little bit more apprehensive on the lower floors and to treat monsters with respect, but also
Yeah,
not be
that's
afraid to
I think
put it
that's
on them.
exactly it. I think it's exactly more of like a reminder that even though he sees himself as like the custodian of the dungeon, which I say with respect, with heavy respect for how
Yeah,
much work he puts in to support that dungeon, that he himself, as much as he wants to be a part of it, he's not a part of the ecosystem of that dungeon.
I like
He's
that.
not inherently a part of it.
Oh, I like
I
that where
think
he's
that's a big thing that happened where he's looking at he's saying like he's like Kelpie stop, like, and it's like, wait, like I can't reason with this thing. This
yeah.
isn't how this relationship works. And I think that's kind of like the big bell
I
that sounded in his head when he finally realized he had to help Laios.
I love that where it's like sort of a wake up call that no, Senshi, as much as you try, you are not a part of this dungeon, and we appreciate what you do, but you will never be one to one with everything that's down here.
It'll eat you up
It's
and
that's
it
really good.
won't even give it a second thought.
Okay, I like that. that direction of Senji's character. I'm cool with that. Chilchuck and Lyles get lured by the sirens or mermaids. Lyles sings with them. It was so funny. I love that boy. Singing along with the mermaids.
And they just look all annoyed.
Yeah,
They're just
like,
like,
what the
let's
fuck?
get out of here. This guy's killing the vibe.
We were trying to lure you to eat you, but we don't even want you, bro. No. Laios wants to eat the fish demi-human. Is that too far? Is that too far? Where he sees a fish man and he's like, well, they're more monster than human, actually. But
it's really a hard call, but I think he makes a very good argument.
No.
I think he makes a very good argument. Would I still think that kind of lends itself towards a moral line that I would be comfortable crossing? I don't live in a fantasy world, so
get him, officer. Right here.
But I mean, it's just like he says, like, this isn't what's it called, a demi-human with a human half part. This is like a fish top and a fish bottom. If we remove the hair, which is just seaweed, it just looks like a really big fish. It's just like a really big tuna.
So then if a mermaid, never mind.
No. Mermaid human top, like, no.
Mermaid human top.
Heck no.
No, like to be your girlfriend or something.
No.
Mermaid human top. Is that, where do we draw the line? My point is, Lyles is getting very close to the line here. And
he's finding lines.
All I'm saying. Because they end up eating the fishman's eggs. They're his sons or whatever that they end up leaving. Okay, whatever.
Like Chilchuck says, it depends. Points at Marcel. Is it good? And she's like, it's yummy. This is delicious.
Senshi gets his beard combed and it's huge. We get the big kraken under the water. Senshi kills the kraken. They eat the parasite off of the kraken. Lyles ate the parasite raw and he has a parasite in his stomach now. Sad Lyles.
Eating a hole in his little tummy.
I gotta say, the whole kraken fight, really fun, really great. Loved it.
Again,
awesome
an
animation.
Interesting solution to an interesting problem where it's like we're water walking and there's first of all, we're water walking across a lake. That's already something that's cool and unique. Now there's a kraken underneath us that's attacking us. How are we gonna make it? How are we gonna kill this thing? Like we're not on that level. Our explosion magic user can't even make a scratch on it. Oh, let's make it aquaphobic.
Pretty cool.
That's genius.
Pretty cool.
Like that's so cool. And the way the show animated the way that the spell took effect on something this large, it was just really cool.
Like, I loved it.
Really cool.
Super
and
interesting.
We start to, in these episodes, I think, see some more of the budget go into these action sequences.
Oh, brother, episode 8. They just went like, here's all the money on this water stuff. Oh, in some of the water, I think it is in episode 8, where it's like stuff with Fallon and Marcel. The water looks insane. Like when they're just walking, it's a big wide shot of looking down and it has like the river or something. I was like, oh my God, that looks so real. That looked real. It was so good. Let's get into it. Episode 8, raspberries / grilled meat. What happens in Delicious Dungeon, episode 8?
While camping due to Lyos's parasite, Marcel recounts when she first met Fallon in school. An acclaimed student with interest in building a dungeon, Fallon shows Marcel how she made her Dungenium to hold so many spirits that it bursts into a huge fireball. Fallon takes Marcel to a spot she visits frequently, giving Marcel an appreciation for the threads that connect everything that makes dungeons possible. As the team prepares to depart, she recalls the party members that quit, and Marcel accidentally ticks off an Undine, which she narrowly escapes with the rest of the group. With Marcel in urgent status, they prepare a meaty and hearty meal to nurse her back to health before we see the smell of the grill attract the attention of a familiar face.
You left us. We don't like you anymore. You're not our friend anymore. We had a Marcel flashback when she says that she was the school's first genius, but then later Chilchuck says, like, was that real? Was that a real part? We find out that her mom was a court magician. So we're getting some random backstory about Marcel. I'm like, okay, that's kind of cute. I like
Mhm,
that.
mhm,
They're making like this sort of ant farm using their spirit magic, and she wants to create a safe dungeon. I really think that's going to be a crux of Marcel's sort of journey in life. So I like that we have not only the main objective to get Fallon back, but now we're also filling in the gaps of what do these characters want to do
mhm.
in their life? What are they sort of doing? I
Because
mean,
like they have
Laios.
they have a goal that they're all going for right now, but like before they were fighting a dragon. Why would they want to fight a dragon? Probably because they're looting this dungeon and want a lot of treasure. Why do they want treasure? To do the things that they want to do in this world. And we get into
Yeah.
what they want to do in this world.
And I really like the characterization of all these characters to be even more than just what they're doing. And I like that. And that's something that I can get behind as like, I want to watch this character grow. And that makes you want to continue seeing them get closer to their goal. We see Fallon was in the class that Marcel was in, or Marcel was stepping in. Fallon uses soil from a real dungeon, and Fallon and Marcel go to that dungeon, and it's so beautiful. I love this sort of connecting moment between Fallon and Marcel. It characterizes Fallon as somebody that goes about nature and goes about the world thinking that there are just good in everything.
Hmm.
And that really characterizes her and why everybody cares for her so much.
Hmm.
Um,
That gets to
and
know her.
yeah, and it's like really cool to see Fallon in the eyes of Marcel and how they first met. I really
I love
enjoyed this.
her I love her bringing her into the area where like through the crack, the hole in the wall, and
Mhm.
she starts just whacking like bushes with a stick, and Marcel's just like,
Yeah,
"Do you come here often?" And she's just like, "Yep." He's like, "I'm just doing my thing, just whacking some bushes with a stick,
because she skips class a lot. She just goes out and then
always
goes
covered
to her
in
spot.
dirt
Yeah, I really like the character of Fallon, and we need more to care about their ultimate
to
goal.
rescue." Yeah.
I need to know more. I would like to see more flashbacks of Laios and Fallon, their brother and freaking sister. Like, give us some
Hmm.
more of that. How did Chilchuck get into the story? How did Chilchuck get into the crew? Want some more of that. Um, so Fallon and Marcel are together, and the slime monster won't come into the sun. So she's kind of knows the area. She's been doing this for a while, and I say she's more on the realm of Senshi, where I think they would. I want them to just meet. I want them to be in the dungeon, and maybe Fallon can help Senshi out, keeping the dungeon clean or doing something because she explains how the slime monster won't come into the sun. The slime grows and breaks down the bat dropping. So it's like this whole symbiotic, here is the right way to do it, symbiotic relationship in this little dungeon. So I'm like, that's kind of like what Senshi likes. And I'm like, I want them both to just talk and
And
just
that's the
hang
thing. We
out.
also see them use dungeon as kind of like a looser term here,
That's true.
where it's like if this is we can consider this a dungeon, then okay, I'm on board with that. It's like it gives it more definition and allows us to allow us to have more belief in Marcial's dream, in my opinion, because we can see that dungeons can just kind of like be a gift of natural occurrence due to luck and the right places being in the right place to make that happen, and that's what she kind of gets an appreciation for. She's like, I need to understand how all these things connect together if I ever want to accomplish my dream. And I think that's where she really decides that, like, this is somebody that I want to be friends with. This is somebody that just
Yeah.
helped me take a huge step towards accomplishing my dream.
And it's not just 10 layers of hell, dragons, loot monsters, and all this stuff. It can
It's
be just
something
as
so
simple
simple. It-
as this. A little ecosystem here. Um, Next half of the episode, finally getting back to saving Fallon, and Undine comes out of the water for Marcel. Marcel is hurt and pierced through the leg the way that they do the fights, where it's just instant and it's like, boom, here we are. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. All of the money here, they just gave all of the money for all of the water effects. I was just, whoa, my eyes were glued to it because the water rushing by, the little guy going under it, Marcel trying to stay on top and do her magic or whatever. And it's just like, it's so pretty. Such a pretty anime. I'm loving it.
and it's a very like tense like sequence where they want to come out to help her, but her spell's wearing off, and it's the only thing that's like that would keep them afloat. So if they rush out and then she goes down, they all go down. It's
As the
a
only
very
magic user,
only magic user, and they're just watching her take shot after shot.
she's a
Like,
badass.
yeah,
We've seen everybody be a badass. I mean, we've seen Senshi just fucking hurl, just chopping at things. When Laios and Senshi were working together for that snake rooster or
cockatrice.
whatever. Yeah, that cockatrice. Yeah, or the other one, the other version of it.
I'm forgetting everything. It's just
No,
like monster, monster,
yeah.
monster.
No. We've seen everybody be a badass here, and I like that we see
Manticore.
Marcel
Manticore.
Manticore. See Marcel being a badass in this one. Really like it. They end up grilling kelpie liver and other meats for the drained Marcel, and she's like, "Give me all the other meats. Give them all
Here's
to me."
liver, here's some more liver, and they're like, oh, thigh, breast, ribs.
They just
Here's some more liver.
they just be eaten, and she was like, "Give it to me. I need it."
We are at the Korean barbecue right now. Do not put grilled teriyaki on my plate. I want the good stuff. I get
Give it to
teriyaki
me.
chicken everywhere.
Give it to me. Give me that kelpie everything. All in all, I'm really liking it. It's pretty good. Big fun. Really cool stuff from this anime all the way up to episode 8. Next week, episode 9 through 12. That's where we're going to end it. We're going to end episode 9 through 12 next week. So watch episode 9 through 12 of Delicious in Dungeon. By next week, we'll rank the anime. But I got to say, it's a really fun time. I'm really enjoying the characters now, where in the beginning I was a little apprehensive, but I'm understanding them a little bit better. I understand the silliness a little bit better. I gotta say though, that episode with Laios just going into different paintings, I don't know why, I just really liked it. It was really cool.
It's very funny, very inventive.
How many episodes did you watch, you said?
I've watched up to like episode maybe 17 or 18, and there's like 24.
Oh,
the
okay.
first season.
Okay. So not, oh, well, yeah, a little bit
I
more.
haven't finished it, but I've watched past where we will watch 2.
Okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, we're gonna leave off episode 12 is part 2 of like a 3-parter. So
Ooh.
yeah. We're
Okay.
kind of leave off on a cliffhanger here.
Oh
next
no.
Week. What?
But next week
Okay.
we are gonna rank the anime. So if you have any thoughts about where it should go, let us know in the Discord. But it will be up here next week, and also next week we'll be picking a brand new anime to watch after we're done with Delicious Dungeon. Remember, a $5 super chat or a 500 bits on Twitch. You can do that after the show is over too. So if you're watching later on and you're like, man, I want them to watch this anime. $5 super chat on YouTube. You could do
You
that.
put it in the chat right now.
Put it in the
I
chat.
see you.
Matt,
deciding.
when you're not deliciously in the dungeon, where can they find you on the internet?
You could follow me on my socials on Instagram or Threads at it's Matt_Galley. You could also follow me on my YouTube where we also host this show live. Just make it at Matt_Galley. Jules, when we are not here short resting, talking about Delicious in Dungeon and DMing, where can the people find you?
Find me at JulesTheHuman, at JULES, the human on all social media, on Instagram, on Threads, on YouTube. Check out my YouTube channel there. All the links to me and Matt are in the description of this video. Go to at Anime Hour Pod if you just want to see all of our episodes. All of them are just there at Anime Hour Pod. You can click that on YouTube as well. You can find me in DC Dark Legion. Going to start that later tonight. Super excited. New game. But yeah, next week, watch Delicious in Dungeon 9 through 12. We are ending it. That's the end. And on to the next one. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.